You a little short for a stormtrooper?
What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report. We are recapping the week's nerdy news from the Baxter building to the Guild of Calamitous Intent and everywhere in between. My name is Mike Gibson. With me as always, Steve Haller. What's up, Steve?
A lack of understanding as to the second part of your intro, which I'm sure I'm going to get filled in real quick.
Real quick, yes. This week, not a huge show, not a bunch of news going on, but we do have enough to keep you occupied for a good episode of podcasting. We're starting off with something that I very, very, very excited about. Steve, he just mentioned, less excited just because he's not into it like I am. But if he ever decides to, he will love it just as much as me. We're talking about the Venture Brothers. That's right. The Venture Brothers, a show that's been on Adult Swim since 2000, I want to say. 23 years. I don't think we've ever talked about the Venture Brothers on this show because the last season ended in 2018, which was before we started this podcast. There hasn't been really that much to talk about, unless we talked about it when they announced this movie that they are making for HBO Max. During the pandemic, The Venture Brothers was a show that was canceled by HBO Max. And due to a lot of fan outcry, they recanted and didn't uncancel the show, but gave them a movie to wrap up storylines, especially because the last season ended in a big cliffhanger. So I didn't forget that this was happening, but it's been out of my mind because it has taken so long. And yes, you did hear me correctly when I just said that this show has been on the air, quote unquote, on the air for 23 years, and there's only 7 seasons of it. That's because it's an animated show that is fully written and created, sometimes animated, 80% voiced by 2 people, 2 guys. Doc Hammer, Jackson Public are the creators and just proprietors of the Venture Brothers. And they do, like I just said, 90% of everything themselves. So it takes a long time between seasons. And certainly if they're making a full movie after being told that they were canceled, it's going to take them a while to get that up and running. I guess, Steve, you recently, I mean, right before we started recording, you said that it's not something that you've ever watched, but it does seem like something that you would be interested in. You've heard about the Venture Brothers at least. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's been around the general zeitgeist for long enough that, yeah, I have definitely heard of the Venture Brothers. I've been told by numerous people I need to dive into the depths, but as with everything, it's on the stack somewhere.
Yeah. Yep. There's a whole list of content out there. I can guarantee you, and almost anybody listening to this podcast, that if you like the stuff that we're talking about, you will absolutely love the Venture Brothers. Steve, are you familiar with a cartoon, not even from our youth, but from maybe our parents' youth, called Johnny Quest? Are you familiar with the show Johnny Quest, the cartoon?
Yeah, I definitely watched that in syndication as a kid.
Of course. The Venture Brothers, or for those of you that don't know, Johnny Quest is about a young boy named Johnny Quest whose dad and his dad's friends are like super scientist adventurers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Johnny goes on these adventures with his father.
And dog.
The Venture Brothers is about a guy named Dr. Venture, Thaddeus Rusty Venture, who was that boy whose dad was a super scientist that went on adventures in the 60s and brought his son along with him. Now, the reason that this is a different show is that it takes the angle of, if this happened to a real person in real life and you grew up with a dad who was more concerned with fighting criminals and super science, then your life would be traumatic as hell. And you would be scarred from that. And you would be constantly also trying to live up to the legend of your father being the famous super science adventurer. So you would consider yourself to be a failure. And if you have sons of your own, you'd be a terrible father. And those sons are the titular Venture Brothers. So this show is like Johnny Quest meets just a lot of failure.
Okay.
So that's like kind of the setup for it. And it's also through that lens, it is a pastiche of not only adventure shows like Johnny Quest, but also all comic book and superhero media, Star Wars, Star Trek, space, science fiction, fantasy, all this kind of stuff. They can poke fun at it, parody it, while also being shooting right down the center of it at all times. It's hilarious. It's super well written. It is a show that you don't get a whole lot of animated shows, especially shows that are on Adult Swim. You don't get a whole lot of animated shows that progress their characters. Like people die, they don't come back. People die, and the characters have to live with those deaths, and they have to move forward. You know, it treats it with a degree of reality that you don't really see in other shows. So that's anyway. I'm gushing now, but yes, that's the Venture Brothers. It's one of my favorite shows, hands down, of all time. The trailer that we released this week also confirmed the title of this movie. The movie is called The Venture Brothers, Radiant is the Blood of the Baboon Heart. I don't know what that means. There's all the episodes are titled similarly. And this shows everyone's favorite character, Brock Sampson, now back with the Offices of Secret Intelligence, the OSI, leading some kind of raid or trying to locate somebody. They got a blip on their radar and they're trying to track down the body, and spoiler alert, the body is behind a dumpster in an alley. They pull a dumpster back, and who is it? Hank Venture himself, one of the titular Venture Brothers. Is he dead? Is he sleeping? What's wrong with him? We don't know. What's going on with Hank? Is he in trouble? We'll find out in Radiant is the Blood of the Baboon Heart. The log line description for this movie is the Venture Brothers are back in an all-new movie, picking up after the events of the shocking Season 7 finale. A nationwide manhunt for Hank Venture leads to untold dangers and unexpected revelations, while the Monarch is literally out for Dr. Venture's blood. An imposing evil from the past reemerges to wreak havoc on the Ventures, the Guild, and even the Monarch's marriage. It will take friends and foes alike to restore the Ventures' world to order or end it once and for all. So that's that. Steve, I know you can't really comment on it, but I'm incredibly excited for this movie to wrap up. If the show's going to end, which I'm very sad about the show ending because it's, again, an incredible show. I'm glad that we're getting a film, and I'm very excited that it's actually happening, and that I will get to wrap up all the storylines and all the characters that I love. It's a really well written show. Like this, like you can say about a million other television shows. Season 1 is the weakest. It kind of has to establish everything, and then once you hit season 2, they really start weaving the threads, and the character arcs start taking off, and then you're kind of off to the races there. So that's it. I should probably stop talking about the Venture Brothers before this becomes a Venture Brothers podcast.
Oh, we've had weirder podcasts, so
that's true. We're not going to talk for 2 hours about the Venture Brothers.
If you would like,
if you want to.
Well, give me a couple weeks to catch up on it, and we'll go from there.
I got all the seasons if you need to borrow them.
Well, they're all on HBO still.
Max.
So
that's right.
Should be.
Sorry, they're not on HBO Max. They're on Max. Don't get confused. It's called Max, people.
Not a dude named Max. The streaming service Max.
The streaming service Max.
Though there may be some dude out there named Max who's selling Venture Brothers DVDs somewhere.
You never know. It's a big world. All right. This is something that we're gonna again not spend too much time on this, but like the first time it came up, something we need to touch on. Update on the Jonathan Majors situation a few weeks ago. Star of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Creed 3, Lovecraft Country. Jonathan Majors was arrested for strangulation and assault of a woman in New York City. He's going to trial on May 8th, so we'll see what happens then. But a little bit of a update on that whole situation. He was dropped by his management and his PR team this week due to I can't remember what the quote was when I read this article. This was like a week ago,
it was PR.
ongoing personality conflicts or something like that.
Right.
Like, personal behavior. That's what it was. Due to his personal behavior. And I don't know if that's a reference to this specific instance or an ongoing pattern. And I say ongoing pattern because also this week, more women have come forward accusing him of abuse. So things are not looking good for Jonathan Majors. He has been dropped or he has, quote unquote, stepped away from a number of projects. There are some that are still on his plate as of right now. One of those being continuing as Kang in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
It is a dwindling list, though.
It is a dwindling list, and I don't think he's going to continue. I think it's over for Jonathan Majors.
I'll be curious if they hold out and don't announce anything until after locally, after Loki press tour
Season
and all
2.
that goes on.
I think I agree with you, but I also don't because we don't know when Loki season 2 is coming out. Here's
True.
Here's the
it
deal.
could be late in the year.
Guess let's put a pin in that. I'll finish a couple of points I'm gonna make, and then we'll go back to that and we can compare. I saw a lot of people on Twitter specifically this past week comparing this situation to the Ezra Miller situation, which, if you think of it, really is not really the same for a number of reasons. Yes, they have both done, seemingly, they are accused of doing some deplorable behavior. People are saying, why is Jonathan Majors catching all this heat when Ezra Miller is still on board to play the Flash? The Flash hasn't come out yet. Warner Brothers has spent hundreds of millions of dollars on this movie, and it's not out yet. They're not going to fire Ezra Miller before this movie comes out. They're just not. Yeah. And that would have been the same thing with Marvel. If this had happened before Ant-Man came out, same thing. Marvel would have, and I mean, Marvel hasn't said anything now either.
Right.
But Marvel certainly would have not said anything before Ant-Man came out because they don't want to completely tank the box office of this film, for sure. The other point is that Miller's behavior and their troubles, seemingly everything that we've heard, everything that's been reported, all of their behavior stems from personal mental health issues that they are seeking treatment for currently. Whereas all this evidence amounting against Majors is kind of pointing to him just having a long pattern of abuse towards women, which is a different thing. It's not a mental health issue. It's a personality issue. So that also, the last point, which I forgot to put in the notes here, but Jonathan Majors is also an A-list star, and Ezra Miller is not. Ezra Miller is the Flash, and I think he was in the Fantastic Beasts movies, but nobody saw those. So, like, I don't think Ezra Miller's star is not shining as bright as Jonathan Majors. So, like, when it's an A-list celebrity, all eyes are gonna focus. It's gonna be a bigger deal. It's gonna be a bigger deal. It just is.
Were it not for the crazy, I don't know if too many people would even know who Ezra Miller was at this point.
Yeah, exactly. I 100% agree with you. And I am 90% sure that after The Flash comes out, we're going to get an announcement from Warner Brothers or from DC, from James Gunn, and Ezra is not going to come back as The Flash. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're not making that official because, again, they don't want to tank the box office of the film. But because one of these is a mental health issue and one of these seems to be just an abusive person, these are different things. And the thing that's up in the air right now that you mentioned is Loki season 2.
Yep. They
can't reshoot. I mean, I'd be surprised if they recast and reshot whatever his role is in Loki season 2. I don't know if it's a big role. I haven't read if it's a big part or a small one like it was in Loki season 1. I don't know. But I don't think, especially with Bob Iger recently coming out and saying, like, we're going to keep our eye on these budgets. We're not going to overspend. I can't see them, like, recasting and reshooting Loki season 2. Maybe it's worth it. Maybe it's worth it for them to do that.
Yeah.
It might be worth it at this point. But I can't imagine we're going to go too much longer without hearing something from Marvel, whether it's Jonathan Majors has been fired, or it's Jonathan Majors and Disney have come to terms and he will amicably step away, and Marvel has been a great supporter during this troubled time, or some like super PR
spin
written thing. Like, of course he got fired. He's like, Jonathan Majors decides to step away. Oh, he decides to step away from a multi-million-dollar contract?
Yes.
No.
Jonathan Majors decides not to be a billionaire. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You're being told to, and this is PR. So,
do you want to ever get hired again somewhere? Okay, then say this. Here's your copy.
Exactly. Yeah. You want to go away for 10 years and then come back, Mel Gibson style, and just start slowly inserting yourself into projects? Fine.
Still being crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, not actually having changed your pattern of behavior. Great. I mean, I don't think either of these people should be celebrated or should be should continue to work if they're going to continue to behave like this. But they are two different situations, and those are the reasons why. And that's the update on Jonathan Majors. We'll see. Obviously, this is not something that we're planning on talking about. Like, we do a Flash watch because it's funny, and the Flash has been moved so many times. There's been so many updates.
At this point, it's just a parody of itself.
Exactly. We're not going to do a Jonathan Majors watch because this is a serious issue, and he's on serious charges here, so it's not fun to talk about. And I don't want to lend too much of my breath to an alleged abuser.
Yep.
So I mean, we'll see what happens. But moving on to somebody
who could
off of someone who probably, well, are we gonna make the same segue?
Oh, go for it. Let's see.
I'll do mine and then you do yours right after.
All right.
Okay. Moving from somebody who is likely not going to be in the MCU moving forward to someone who probably will be in the MCU moving. That was my segue. What was yours?
I was going to go with going from someone who's mildly crazy to someone who could probably play somebody mildly crazy quite well.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Both good. Hey, listeners, write in and vote on who had the best segue.
It's only taken us 2 years to figure this segue thing out.
No. Call now. If you're watching on YouTube, let us know right now. Comment who had the better segue.
Limited copies available. Call now.
Yeah.
If you call now, you get double the segue for just the low price of $19.99.
We're not talking about the scooter. Steve and I will just send you a personalized segue somehow. How do you even do that? Just a general segue to use in your real life. This rumor was all over the internet this week. I heard it from the Hot Mic podcast with Jeff Snyder and John Roca. Adam Driver, Kylo Ren himself, Adam Driver, according to Jeff Snyder, has been offered the role of Reed Richards in Marvel's Fantastic Four reboot. He has the offer. He has not declined. He has not accepted. The offer has been made to him. He was interested in playing Reed Richards, having played a bad guy for 3 movies. Kind of wanted to come back and play the hero, play a good guy, according to this report. And also, Jeff Snyder says that he hears that they are hoping to get Ryan Gosling for Dr. Doom.
That one I hadn't heard.
I hadn't heard that either until today. I'm dropping it on you right now, Steve. Initial thoughts: Ryan Gosling as Dr. Doom.
So we had the discussion on the driver thing offline, and we'll get to that later.
You and I, we texted about Adam, how our things on Adam Driver.
Gosling, I don't know.
He's a great actor.
He is, and he's got the. Again, it's the same thing with Driver. Like, if I get past the aesthetics, there's definitely the chops there.
Yeah.
But I don't know, anything I've ever seen Ryan Gosling do does not scream Victor Von Doom to me.
Yeah.
Though I don't know how much I've seen Ryan Gosling in the last 10 years outside of La La Land. And that definitely didn't scream Victor Von Doom.
No, he's going to be in Barbie. Did you see the trailer for Barbie?
I did. That actually looks weirdly
man, that looks great.
Amazing. Yes.
He's so funny in that trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see that movie. What did I see Ryan Gosling in that was amazing? recently. Oh, Blade Runner 2049. I rewatched that.
Oh, see, I still
a
haven't
month
seen
ago.
that.
I mean, he's not a villain.
No,
in that
but
movie,
like
he's
it's
great.
it's a more serious role than
For sure. For sure. But that's just a rumor. I mean, both of these are rumors. But Adam Driver as Reed Richards, like again, we texted about it, but what do you think? Hit me. Have you
No, I
has
think
have,
I think I've
have
come
your opinions
around on
changed?
that because
Yeah.
like I said when we were texting, like he's got the chops. All I can ever think about is like the lacrosse flow that he's got going with his hair that he always seems to have.
Yeah.
And it's like in my brain, Reed Richards is the crew cut with the silver temples and like there's a
I'm
very
sure there's-
distinct look. And it's like I just mentally can't picture Driver in that look, but they're going to
I'm sure
have
they'll
to.
give it to him.
Like
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm sure that there's no way that he's not going to have the grade temples.
yeah.
Like, there's no way. Like the MCU, knowing what I know about the MCU and how they try to make updated versions of
Right.
the looks for their characters, but
Close enough that
also
you know who it is.
staying true.
and,
Yep, staying true to the comic book, being as comic book accurate as possible while updating their look for a modern audience. He's definitely going to have grade temples for sure. And I agree. Hopefully, like a crew cut kind of thing as well.
So
I'm all in. I think Adam Driver's great. I think he's a great actor. I've seen it. He was great in things like Marriage Story. He's also great. Obviously, I like him as Kylo Ren as well. He's a great bad guy. He can do a lot of different stuff from what I've seen.
Yeah.
So I'm down with this, and especially if it's something that he wants to do. If he's like, he was gung ho about like, yeah, I want to play a hero.
Right.
Yeah, do it.
And he's got the
Give it to me.
ability to play smart guy, like smartest man in the room, Reed Richards, that's crazy asshole that doesn't realize what he's doing, as well as like the family man, Reed Richards.
Yes. Yep.
So
tying this back to the first story we talked about, there is a Fantastic Four analog in the Venture Brothers. That is hilarious. And I mean, spoiler alert, the Reed Richards character goes on to become a villain. Because he's just super
spoiler alert,
arrogant.
Go read the comics. Reed Richards is a villain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether he's whether he's part of the Fantastic Four or not, some of the decisions Reed Richards makes, he's a villain.
Yeah. And there's a couple twists on the characters too, where like his wife, obviously, Fantastic Four is married to Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman. The character in Venture Brothers can only turn her skin invisible, so she's just this gross.
So she turns into Glob,
muscly
X-Men?
looking. She just looks like muscle, like you can see just muscle tissue. Yeah, it's gross. And the Human Torch version, don't really get too much time with, because anytime his skin touches oxygen, he bursts into flame, and it is incredibly painful. Like he is actually on fire. Like it's not a power. He is burning. So he has to be kept in like some kind of pressurized chamber all the time, or he's just screaming in agony.
It's amazing.
Very fun. Yeah, very fun. So yeah, that's the I almost said Star Wars rumor because we're about to talk about Star Wars, but that's the Marvel rumor. I also read. We
didn't get this. What's your thoughts on Gosling?
On Gosling?
Yeah.
I think Ryan Gosling is a great actor. I think that if he is, I think he only does stuff that he wants to do.
Yep.
So I think if he signs on to Doctor Doom, he's going to do everything he can to make it, he's going to bring it,
Yeah.
And I can see it because canonically, I don't know, I grew up Doctor Doom, hiding behind this mask because he was horribly scarred or whatever.
Or he thinks he was horribly scarred.
He thinks he was, but there was like a twist when he just has like one tiny small scar on his face or whatever. And it's just that he's so super vain that he can't take it. So, I mean, Ryan Gosling, super hot guy, fits that part for sure. Like if there's going to be a reveal where it's like, oh, you're gorgeous. What do you mean you're hideously scarred?
Yeah, and there's been various iterations of how they've portrayed Doom, but like if they did that with the Gosling version, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. And I would like, because Ryan Gosling I think is a great actor. I think he's someone that can go toe to toe with Adam Driver.
Yeah.
And I would, because I know he's a great actor, I would love to see him as a cackling, maniacal, ruthless villain, because I have never seen him as that.
Mhm.
So it makes me, I would be excited to see Ryan Gosling as Dr. Doom, just because it's so left field of anything I've ever seen him in before.
Right. Well, the other thing too with those two actors is the MCU isn't really known for letting them cook. And I think if you
True.
get those two signed on, you need to let them do their thing, which might be a little tough for, for Feige and company. Like there's some rails they want to stay on, and it's like,
I know.
with these two,
And
you just let them do their thing.
And that's really like a mistake I think the MCU is making.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like we've talked about it before, how all Marvel movies kind of just look exactly the same, unless they're directed by either
Chloe Zhao,
Ryan Coogler, or James Gunn.
Right.
And even like Wakanda Forever kind of still looked like a Marvel movie. It
did come back to more Marvel-y, yeah.
Yeah. It looked better, but like Eternals looked great. I gotta watch Eternals again, because I feel like I liked that movie. A lot of people hated it.
I feel like I liked it more
movie.
than most people.
Me too.
It wasn't a
Which
great movie, but I thought it was fine.
But it makes me want to watch it again, because I was like, I think I liked it. And like if I go in now, like it's like rewatching without your expectations.
Yeah.
The Star Wars prequel. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
Now my expectations are set. I'm gonna go watch it again and be like, oh no, this is great. Maybe I will, but I would like to. And like the James Gunn stuff, the Guardian stuff is, those do kind of look Marvel-y, but they feel different, I guess. So I don't know, and I kind of wish that they would just let kind of writers and directors do the thing, but they can't really, because they're so tied into this continuity now.
They've made their own bet at this point.
Yeah, and so they can't write a character that feels drastically different, because they know 3 movies later that character is going to have to be having a conversation with, the Winter Soldier or whatever, and the tones have to fit. But again, they kind of don't really have to fit. Like, I don't care. Like, I'll just watch. Like, I will understand the team up movie having a different tone than the individual movies. Like I'll get that. It's fine. Like, you tone down Adam Driver when he meets Captain America in Secret Wars.
Oh yeah,
I get that. It's fine.
Well, look at it.
The same guys, same person's playing it. Fine. I'm good to go.
But look at it like the books. I mean, look at like Spidey. One day will be with Daredevil. The next he's on a spaceship with Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
They're.
You know what? The thing I just said, I realized I might be contradicting myself, because I just said, I don't care. Like, I know the tone's going to be different. It's fine. It's the same actor. It's fine. But I didn't love the version of Kingpin that we got in Hawkeye.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little cheesed up a little bit. And I'm setting my expectations pretty low for Born Again. But also, that's, you know what? No, I'll go back on that, because I didn't like that, because I know he's not going to go back and make season 4 of the Daredevil Netflix show.
Mm-hmm.
So that the character from the Netflix show is gone.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, if this was like Adam Driver is, gritty or more realistic or whatever, a different tone in Fantastic Four, and then they make him more Marvel-y, MCU-y when he's over here in Secret Wars hanging out with Captain America and Captain Marvel, like, okay, and then he goes back to the other thing, like, then that makes more sense to me. If you let the different franchises feel different and then bring them together and find a tone that works for everything, great. But then they can go back to their own franchises and be a different thing.
I mean, that's almost how phase 1 of the MCU kind of worked.
Exactly. And most of phase 2, I think. It wasn't really until like end of phase 2, into phase 3 that they started solidifying, when really the Russos took over, when the Russo brothers started directing everything, or all the team up movies. Like, okay, this is the style now.
Mm-hmm.
This is the look. This is the feel. This is what it's going to be for everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. That was a tangent.
Well, maybe we can get back to other sandboxes that they're shaking up with new ideas. Also from the Hot Mic podcast.
That's right. But now we're talking about Star Wars. There's a couple things that were said on the Hot Mic podcast with Jeff Snyder and John Roca. One of them came from Jeff Snyder saying that the new Jedi Order film that was announced at Star Wars Celebration, starring Daisy Ridley, being directed by Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. This is the movie that's going to be the next release, the next Star Wars movie that we see, the one that is supposed to hit theaters by December 2025. It's going to be this movie. It's going to be the new Jedi Order movie. What do you think of that, Steve?
If they make it not suck, I'm cool with it. I mean, that's the gist of it. Like, what we've gotten all these roadmaps. We've talked for literally 2 hours the other night on this, and it's like, it all boils down to just make it not suck. Like, even I'll take a solid B. Give me a solid B, sure. B plus, and I'm great. Doesn't need to be a masterpiece. Doesn't need to be cinema. It needs to be fun. It needs to follow in the continuity, and it needs to be able to set the stage for whatever the hell they're going to do next.
Yeah. Do you think it is a good move or a bad move? Now, I mean, there's been time. Rise of Skywalker came out in 2019, right?
Something like
2019.
That,
yeah. So that movie was not met with great praise. So is it a bad idea to have the next movie we get be more or less a sequel to that movie? Is this like, remember what we were talking about with like House of the Dragons, Game of Thrones? Like, yo, Game of Thrones sucked at the end, and now who cares about the sequel to something that left a bad taste in our mouth? This is kind of the same thing. Like, I am someone that I enjoy the sequels more than most, I think. I'm coming to that realization. But I don't know. So I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. But somebody like you, or somebody like, who hates the sequels,
well,
how likely are, like, they're going to go see it because it's Star Wars, most likely. But
I mean, I like 2 out of 3 of the sequels.
Oh, okay.
It's just the Rise of Skywalker that throws everything the wrong way. But use your analogy with Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon. Like, House of the Dragon is the until The Last of Us was the biggest HBO show that has ever been, as far as viewership. Right. So, true. I mean, there's a need for a desire for it. I mean, it'll be Star Wars on the big screen. It's not going to matter who the hell. Yes, the neckbeards on the internet are going to do the neckbeard on the internet thing. But beyond that, it's Star Wars. Star Wars is going to Star Wars.
Right. I agree with you there. 2 other bits of information that they said on the Hot Mic podcast this week is that Daisy Ridley, although coming back as Rey, is not the main character. People are referring to this as like the Rey movie because they announced her at Star Wars Celebrations coming back. But according to Jeff Snyder, she's not going to be the lead. She's going to be like, she's going to be the Jedi Master training. But, she's going to be like the Obi-Wan to someone else's Luke, basically. Which is kind of a bummer because I love Rey. I want her to have her own. So I would have been fine if she was the lead, but I'll take more of her in any way we can get.
But that's almost the thing is like, I would love to have seen her as the main character, but timeline-wise and all that, it almost makes sense that she's preoccupied or doing something else.
It's not to say that she won't be the main character of something else if this movie is done well.
Or even that she's like not a main character in this. It's just, it's not a Rey movie.
Right. Like, she could be a big part of whatever ensemble that they have. But coupling that with this piece of information that came from not Jeff Snyder, but from John Roca, the other host of the Hot Mic podcast, he is reporting that he has a source. And it's usually on this podcast, it's usually Jeff Snyder has all these sources, and he, he's a newsbreaker, a journalist about movies. He's dropping all these scoops all the time. But this one is from John Roca's sources that John Boyega is not only being heavily pursued to return, and that part of this was confirmed by Jeff Snyder. Yes, they want him to come back. They are pursuing him heavily to come back as Finn. But John Roca on this podcast said that he is going to come back. That has been decided already. He has mended his fences with Kathleen Kennedy, and he is going to come back and do this. Now, again, this is a rumor. This is a report. This rumor has not been confirmed in any way.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible, Steve, that Finn is the main character of this movie and Rey is just teaching him? As we found out in Rise of Skywalker that Rey, or they hinted, they never came out and said it, frustratingly, that Finn is Force sensitive. Is it possible that this is his journey to becoming a Jedi, which a lot of people thought the sequels should have been about, or at least dealt with more than they did? Too late. It didn't happen. Get over it, move on. But is this movie possibly Finn's journey to becoming a Jedi?
Well, Mike, there's something I need to tell you.
What's that?
Just that his line that left it hanging, that it was like, really? You're just going to leave it there?
I need to tell you about something.
Yeah.
20 minutes later, I need to tell you about something.
I still got to tell you.
Hour later, I still need to tell you about something. Okay, tell me. End of the movie. I didn't tell you anything.
So, yeah, I mean, if you get Boyega back, I'm in. Like, I mean, I'm in no matter what, you know that. But, like, I feel like his character needs more development and is a great character and, like, could be a perfect cornerstone for this. So, yeah, I'm in. Like, to have Rey be Finn's Jedi Master, like you said, what we all wanted. And, you know, to be even, okay, as dumb as it sounds, give me a Finn and Poe buddy comedy where he's flying Finn around on whatever mission they need to do.
100%.
Yeah.
Give me, you know what? I want a Disney Plus series that is a Finn and Poe buddy comedy. That would be a better series, I think. Each episode is a different, like,
it's bad boys in bad boys in space.
Or they think they're the bad boys, but they keep, like, screwing up. You know what I mean? Like, things go wrong. Yeah, I would watch that in a second.
Yeah.
I would also watch this movie in conjunction with that. Like, I don't want him to not be in this movie. I still want him to be in this movie, but I also want that series. So anyway, that's just some speculation, some Star Wars rumors. Hopefully we'll get some kind of confirmation on some of those, more or less.
Also means in like a month or two, we'll hear the confirmation that Oscar Isaac is now in talks to reprise his role.
Coming back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hopefully Kelly Marie Tran and get the whole band back together.
Disney, if you don't put Kelly Marie Tran in this movie, I am very upset. I'm still going to go see it. But people love to complain about the disservice that was done to John Boyega after The Force Awakens. They love to complain about that. But people also love to shit on Kelly Marie Tran, who does not deserve any of that bad stuff. She was great in The Last Jedi. She was great in that movie. And she got sidelined like crazy by JJ in The Rise of Skywalker. She deserves her own Disney Plus series. Give me a Rose Tico Disney Plus series. I don't care what it's about. She can be
Mechanics
tasing
R Us.
people like crazy. Yeah, I don't know.
Her and Pelimoto. There we go. Pelimoto from the Mandalorian. Amy Sedaris' character.
Oh man. Oh, that'd be funny.
They open a mechanic shop. There you go.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
So yeah.
But yeah, if you're bringing Finn back, bring Rose back too. They don't have to be romantic, whatever. If you're making good with John Boyega, you need to make good with Kelly Marie Tran.
They already made good with Ahmed Best, so
you're right.
They need to keep it going.
Yeah, because that's the thing, 15 years from now, there's gonna be so much love for these sequels and all like you and I were with the prequels. Like, these movies are bad, we hate them, but now it's like we get it, it's part of it. We begrudgingly
you look through it with a kid's lens and you're like, oh yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, but the people that are 20,
the Super Mario movie, there was like a bunch of critical panning, and it's like, Nobody gives a shit about what the critics are saying. It's the Super Mario movie. Like,
Yeah.
my
yeah,
kid loved
it's-
it. It was a nostalgia trip.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Did you expect it to be full of depth?
Right.
Like, no, you didn't.
It's about
like,
two
the
plumbers that go to a mushroom kingdom. Like,
Yeah,
what
exactly.
are you expecting, Shakespeare?
But like the people that are 10, 15 years younger than us who grew up with the prequels who think they're masterpieces.
Yeah.
You know, they're
That's their
also
Star
the ones
Wars.
that hate, a lot of them hate the sequels. But it's
Mhm.
going to be the same thing that happened to us that will happen to them
dude,
10, 15 years from
when-
now. And those kids that grew up with the sequels will be like, yo, your prequels are dog shit. Our sequels are masterpieces. Like,
15 years
Last
from
Jedi
now,
is-
Sam and Sebastian are going to be like, what the hell were you guys watching back in the 90s?
Yeah,
What
I
is
know,
wrong
yeah.
with you guys?
We're like, what do you mean you don't like Rise of Skywalker? It's the best one.
Yeah.
You
It's like,
know, like,
oh, God. Kids these
Dude,
days. Get off
there's-
my lawn.
there is a kid that exists in this world right now whose favorite movie in the world is Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. I guarantee you, right now. It just is possible. They're 8. They're an 8-year-old
Yeah.
kid.
I
But
can confirm
whatever.
you are not talking to that kid.
I know I'm not. But maybe, 10 years from now when we're still doing this podcast and we have a guest on,
Yeah.
it'll be that formerly 8-year-old kid who's like, yeah, Rise of Skywalker's the best, and I'll tell you what.
It'll be Rise of Skywalker's version of Broom Boy.
Yeah.
That one kid. They also need to develop that somewhere.
If Broom Boy isn't in this new Jedi Order movie, I'll be furious.
That would be great.
Because
That
that's
needs to
something that I
happen.
hate about Rise of Skywalker, straight up. That they did nothing with that incredible ending of Last Jedi.
Yeah.
With the Broom Kid.
Mhm.
He better be one of Rey's apprentices or students or whatever you're going to call him. Anyway.
Back off of Star Wars into where no man has gone before.
No man has gone before. Certainly not a place where you and I go very often.
No, but we were both
Um,
talking about. Oh no, it wasn't with you. I was
I was
singing
gonna
the
say, I don't think
praises.
I've been.
No, it was with good friend of the pod, Adam Karki. We were discussing Strange New Worlds and how great that is.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah, I keep hearing that it's great.
yeah, throw that
And
on the
maybe
list. It
someday-
was well worth the time.
All right. I'll have to resubscribe to Paramount Plus. And speaking of Paramount Plus, and speaking of Star Trek, we're talking about Star Trek, ladies and gentlemen, days and gays. Michelle Yeoh, recent Oscar winner for Best Actress in Everything Everywhere All at Once, one of the greatest movies in the world. She's getting her own
We'll talk
Star
about that
Trek.
someday.
What's that?
I said we'll talk about that someday.
About Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Yeah, since I finally saw it.
That's right. That's right. We should talk about it someday. Maybe we'll, if we finish this podcast before midnight, then maybe we'll
Maybe.
talk about it after we wrap up. Michelle Yeoh is getting her own Star Trek movie on Paramount Plus original film. Apparently, in 2018, after I believe would have been the first season of Star Trek Discovery. Apparently, she was in that show. Again, I don't watch Star Trek Discovery, so I don't know any of these things. But she was had a character in that show named Emperor Philippa Georgiou. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Trekkies, please yell at me. Please comment. Please tell me that I'm saying that wrong, because I know that I am. Anyway, back then it was announced that she was going to get a spin-off series based on that character. And now Paramount Plus has come out and said not only is that still happening, but instead of a series, it's going to be an original film focused on the Michelle Yeoh's character. And it's being described as Mission Impossible meets Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm not sure why you couldn't just say Mission Impossible meets Star Trek, but, whatever.
Yeah.
And if that's what that's a cool description, I'm down for Mission Impossible in space for sure, because I love space and I love Mission Impossible, so I'm down. Paramount Plus also said that they are hoping. That's a word. They are hoping that this is the first in a string of original Paramount Plus Star Trek movies to debut on that service, and they're shooting for one film every 2 years. I think that's a pretty solid and respectable time frame.
Right.
It's not like Marvel saying like, "Yo, we're gonna put out 4 movies a year forever,"
Mhm.
or when Lucasfilm tried, "We're gonna do a Star Wars movie a year." and they get burnt out after 2 years of doing that
Yeah.
or whatever, 2 a year or whatever. One movie every 2 years is
It's a decent
possible.
cadence. Yeah.
It's decent cadence, and it keeps people from getting bored.
Yeah.
And fed up. So, Steve, did you ever watch any of Star Trek Discovery? Do you know anything about this character
I
by
watched
Michelle
the
Yeoh? I
first
do not.
season. Yeah. I don't remember anything. I remember watching some of the first season. I remember the series being okay at the time. Wasn't something that like held me. But I remember
think the
seeing
first
Michelle Yeoh
season
in it.
had- oh, cool. I think the first season had mixed
Yeah.
reviews from what I remember. But okay. Well, good. Good for Michelle Yeoh. It's cool that she wins an Oscar and she's still willing to come back for Star Trek. You know
Oh,
what I
yeah.
mean? For a direct to streaming service Star Trek movie. And not like, no, I'm too good for that now. I'm not going
Right.
to do Star Trek.
It's like I'm only A-list all the time now. Sorry.
Yeah. I also, am I correct in thinking that Michelle Yeoh, maybe it wasn't her, but I think it was. Wasn't she in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 as one of the other team of Guardians?
In
And
like Stallone's
therefore-
team?
Yeah. Am I wrong about that?
I don't know on that. Let's do a quick you googly on it. Because I don't really
remember her
remember
character
that.
name.
What year was that?
Dude, I don't know.
I don't know. One of them years.
Yeah, one of them years. I'm probably wrong.
Minions: Rise of Gru, Shang-Chi, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Aletta
Okay.
Ogord. Oh, Starhawk. She was
All
Starhawk? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I was right. I'm not crazy.
Yeah. You may be crazy, but you weren't wrong.
Yeah. You may be right. I may be crazy, but just may be a lunatic that everybody that listens to this podcast is looking for. Yeah, so she's going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 also, right? Because I think
so.
James Gunn he has said that that crew is returning in Volume 3. So cool. I put this under our Star Trek banner, even though it's not a Star Trek announcement, but it might as well be.
But it's not,
Yeah.
but it is.
Another Paramount Plus project in development, a Galaxy Quest series is in development at Paramount Plus. If you haven't seen the movie Galaxy Quest and you like Star Trek or Star Wars or science fiction shows at all, or nerd culture, you should see Galaxy Quest. It's amazing. It's hilarious and just great. It knows what it's doing. And it pokes all the right kinds of fun at all the right kinds of people and all the right kinds of nerds. Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, Alan Rickman,
Tony
Tony
Shalhoub.
Shalhoub. Yep. Really great cast. Really funny movie. It's a parody, basically, of
all greater
William
sense,
Shatner,
yeah.
or like a Star Wars or Star Trek crew on the convention circuit, and hoping for wishing they could relive their glory days when they were actually celebrities, and they get abducted by actual aliens, thinking that the aliens think that they're an actual, crew of, galactic
spacefaring people.
Heroes. Yeah, exactly. And they are thrown into the situation where they know. It's really great. It's really funny. So check it out. There's a series in development. Apparently, there was a series in development at Amazon years ago, and that was going to bring back all of those cast members that I just mentioned, and then the unfortunate passing of Alan Rickman threw a wrench into that plan. So there's no word yet. There's no creatives attached to the Galaxy Quest series. There's no word on whether it's a sequel to the movie or it's a new reboot with different cast members. Like, is it a continuation? Is it possible that Tim Allen or Sigourney Weaver could show up? Who knows? Nobody knows. All bets are off as of right now, but a Galaxy Quest series is currently in development at Paramount Plus. And that's great, because that is a property that I would love to see continued, for sure.
Absolutely.
Got
Now
a
I want to go
couple
watch
of,
Galaxy Quest again.
I know, yeah. Anytime I talk about it, it makes me like, oh yeah, that's worth watching.
It's been so long. I wonder. I don't know how well it's hung up or held up. I don't know if you've seen it recently.
I've seen it probably within the past 5 years, and I remember still thinking it was great.
Good.
5 or maybe 7 years. I don't know. I showed it to my wife because she had never seen it, and we both thought it was really.
Well, up next is something that's been around over 70 years.
85 to be exact. We got a couple, just some DC odds and ends here, some Superman updates, some Sandman updates. And yes, this past week, Superman celebrated his 85th anniversary. 85th anniversary of Action Comics #1. 85 and still flying. And James Gunn took that opportunity, the anniversary of Superman, to announce that he has finished his script for Superman Legacy, and the movie is officially entering pre-production. That means that they're doing costumes, they're doing casting, all that kind of stuff is underway. A couple things Gunn said on Twitter. Someone asked him about casting, and he said that they have found some incredible choices. I'm incredibly excited and relieved. So they have gone through auditions, or they have had auditions, and they're currently looking to choose somebody for Superman. This is a big deal. Like, if you get named as the new Superman, man,
Yeah, your career just jumped.
Unless you're Henry Cavill, who gets named as the new Superman and gets put in 2 movies and then, 3 movies and then, ostensibly let go.
Yeah.
Shadow banned from Warner Brothers. Assumedly that will not happen with whoever gets newly appointed as Superman, but I'll be very excited to see it. I kind of hope it's somebody that I don't know. I hope it's an unknown person that I just think looks like Superman. Great. He is currently on the, when I say he, I mean James Gunn, currently on a worldwide press tour for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And while he's on this press tour, is taking time out of the press tour to watch videos of auditions. So he is still able to be, he's going to be so happy, I think, when his obligations to Guardians focus on one thing. Like,
yeah,
he's got to be just doing mental gymnastics back and forth between Superman and Guardians and all his other DC stuff that he's shepherding. Like, geez, he needs a nap.
Yeah.
He also confirmed on Twitter that Jimmy Olsen, Superman's pal and best friend, Jimmy Olsen, will be in the film. That's very exciting for me as well. So those are Superman odds and ends. Got some Sandman updates from Neil Gaiman himself. Confirms that scripts for Sandman Season 2 have been written, although it could be a while before they're officially in production. They have to do, set creation and casting and all that kind of stuff. Same kind of thing that Superman Legacy is in right now. But he also said that the used to be HBO Max and now Netflix series Dead Boy Detectives, which is the characters Dead Boy Detectives, we talked about them before. They are a spinoff from the Sandman comic books. They are characters that are introduced in those books, spun off into their own series. So when this was in development at HBO Max, it was assumed that was going to be in the same universe as, Titans or Doom Patrol, because a version of those characters showed up in an episode of Doom Patrol, even though they recast those roles. Someone asked Neil Gaiman on Twitter, is the Dead Boy Detective series going to be in the Doom Patrol universe, in the Sandman universe, or its own thing? And Neil Gaiman said it's going to be in the Sandman universe. So depending on what they do with Sandman Season 2, I guess it's possible that we could see a crossover between this Dead Boy Detective series and Sandman Season 2, which would be cool because it would be fitting for the source material. And that's all I have to say about that, I guess.
It's more than I had to say about that, and it seems fun.
All right. I agree. This week in comics, with no real comic news, we couldn't find any big announcements this week, but at your local comic book store this week, you got Action Comics number 1054, Avengers Beyond number 2, Blade Runner 2039 number 4, Blue Beetle Graduation Day number 6. That's the final issue of this Blue Beetle miniseries. Blue Book number 3, Clobberin Time number 2, Daredevil number 10, Dead Romans number 2, Detective Comics number 1071, Doctor Strange number 2, Dungeons and Dragons Saturday Morning Adventures number 2, Green Arrow number 1, new number 1 entry point, Green Arrow, very excited about it. Guardians of the Galaxy, Bane of Blastar. Am I saying that right? Blastar?
Yeah,
Blastar?
right.
Number 1. Harley Quinn, number 29. Hulk, 14. Invincible Iron Man, number 5. Lovesick, number 7. Money Shot Comes Again, number 1. That is a not safe for work book.
It
If you
sounds
could
it.
guess by the title. It's very funny. I have one issue of it. It's a very funny book, but again, not safe for work. Money Shot comes again. Number 1, it's a new series. Plush, number 6. Pop Scars, number 2. Sereno, number 2. Sins of Sinister, Dominion, number 1. The aforementioned Star Trek, number 7. Star Wars, Darth Vader, Black, White, and Red, number 1. Anthology book. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, number 139. Thor, number 33. The Unstoppable Doom Patrol, number 2. Number 1 was great. And What's the Furthest Place from Here, number 12. Woo! Lots coming out this week. All that and more at your local comic book store. Steve, you going to pick up any of these, or are you reading anything good?
Definitely picking up Black, White, and Red, because that is the Darth Vader version of the. They have done Black, White, and Blood for a bunch of the different. They did Deadpool, they did Wolverine, they did Moon Knight.
And DC does it too with Batman Black and White, Superman Red and Blue.
Yep.
I think Wonder Woman was like a black, white, and gold that they did, like different color schemes. But like, it's a series that comic publishers have done where it's like a maxi issue with 6 or 8 small stories within, like an anthology book of just like different. This will be like different Darth Vader stories, and the color schemes will all be black and white and red. There won't be any color in the book other than those 3 colors, which is cool, especially for a character like Darth Vader, who you don't really need many other colors to define.
Right.
So those 3.
4-part miniseries penned by Jason Aaron, who has done great work in the Star Wars universe and solid work all around.
Yeah, for sure.
This is from the actual StarWars.com article. One Vader quote from the spinoff ranks among the writer's all-time favorite lines. "All I'm surrounded by is fear and dead men."
Wow.
That's like, yeah, that seems like Vader.
Yeah.
And it could be his own fear or other fear or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and he wrote Vader down and a bunch of he does a very good job with Vader.
Good.
There is a Peach Momoko cover that or she's doing some of the art in the book too. So
cool.
Yeah. So definitely looking forward to those.
Nice. I think Mark Bernardin, who co-hosts Kevin Smith's Fat Man Beyond podcast, has a story. Story for that. Well, yeah. And he's a great writer. So yeah, I'm definitely looking to pick that up.
Yep.
As well.
Nice.
I'm probably gonna get Green Arrow number 1 too, because it's a whole DC's doing their whole like Dawn of DC thing, and this is like a new entry point for that character. And I feel like DC is really building out their families. Where I mean, Batman always has his rotating like Nightwing, Robin, Red Hood, whoever, like Batgirl, any number of Batgirls, Batwoman, like. But they're really focusing on like the Superman family, and at least for the cover or the promotion material that I've seen from the Green Arrow book, it seems like they're really focusing on that too. Like he's had a numerous apprentices, other archers or whatever, plus like Black Canary and all these other characters that kind of hang out with Green Arrow. So it really seems like DC's kind of focusing on the legacy characters. And that is appealing to me.
I haven't read it, but I picked up the first issue of Unstoppable Doom Patrol just because I had to.
Oh, I read it. It was good.
Nice.
It's really good.
Right.
They introduced 2 new characters, which I think is cool, especially Doom Patrol. You can get away with weird stuff. There's Beast Girl, not Beast Boy, but Beast Girl, but they didn't really go into it. It doesn't seem like she has the ability to turn into other animals like Beast Boy can, but she can trigger animalistic responses in other beings. Like they can, like she can trigger your flight or fight response. Basically.
Okay.
So
that seems,
just like
that's a different take on things.
It's a different take, which is also interesting. Also, and another character. This is not really a spoiler, but another character who is super strong and indestructible, but he needs to be a jerk in order to activate his power. Like he needs to be mean. He needs to be aggressive. And when he starts calming down and treating people nicely is when he gets smaller and loses his strength. So he needs to, I don't remember the character's name, but he needs to be an ass basically in order to access his power, which I think sets up for conflict for sure with a character like that, obviously. Cool. Yeah, I still haven't cracked Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. I keep meaning to do that.
A couple
But
like
there's
pages in, nothing too far.
yeah, a couple of pages.
Yeah, didn't even get through the first issue, so
yeah. I am reading. Shout out to my friend and listener of the podcast, Brandon Hall, who bought for me as a gift out of nowhere Alan Moore's Guide to Comic Book Writing.
Oh,
Which is like, it's not super long. It's like just it's like a super long essay, but like as far as a book is concerned, it's not a novel or anything. But it's very interesting. About halfway through, it's very interesting, and he kind of spends some time shitting on modern day comic book writing and how it's all the same.
that sounds like the most Alan Moore thing you could Alan Moore.
Yeah, exactly. And then just kind of how not to do that,
right?
How to think differently, how to think of other things. Which is cool. So I'm reading that as well.
Alan Moore and Everything Sucks.
Yeah, exactly. But it's interesting because he is kind of like, yeah, all this stuff that you're used to is bad, but he's also like, I'm not a genius. I'm not better. Like he does it in a way that is not positioning himself as being better than all these other writers. He's just like, this is what I think, but I'm not. Don't listen to me if you don't want to listen to me.
Right.
Who cares? So yeah, I like it a lot. Thanks, Brandon. Moving on into some one-shots to wrap this thing up before it gets too late. We got a teaser and a title reveal for the new Godzilla and King Kong movie that we knew was happening. It's called Godzilla, and there's like an X. So it's like Godzilla and Kong, or just Godzilla Kong? How are we supposed to
Godzilla times Kong?
Godzilla times Kong equals
Orangutan.
The New Empire. Yeah. Godzilla Kong, The New Empire is the name of the movie. The seemingly teasing a giant orangutan as the villain. The teaser starts with a silhouette of this character on like a throne and like a bunch of bones, leads to a skull of a Godzilla skull and a King Kong skull, and then shows an up close face of this orangutan being very angry. So I guess we're gonna get two monkeys and a lizard fighting.
So there's a catch in here. The orangutan is King Louis from the Jungle Book.
Would be amazing.
It just
starts
with the fire song.
In the modern jungle.
Yeah, he's a Gigantopithecus. Yep.
Yes, exactly, Gigantopithecus. Voiced by Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
So yeah, if it's that exact character and Christopher Walken is gonna do a voice, 100% we'll see this movie 10 times in the theater.
Yeah, I'm just picture him busting out the monkey song from Jungle Book. Yep.
Yeah. I almost started singing it, but then I was like, oh wait, then we have to pay.
I was thinking that too. I was like,
it's like I'm not gonna sing it. Yeah.
Yeah, seems fun.
So yeah, I don't know. I like the MonsterVerse movies a lot. Some of them are honestly, I think, great, and some of them are just dumb fun, and some of them are both. And Godzilla versus Kong, certainly really, really dumb, but very, very fun. And I don't know, because this is a direct sequel to that, it seems like this is also going to be a lot of dumb fun, but it won't stop me from probably seeing it in the theater. Certainly will be watching it at some point in my life. I will watch this movie.
You know what's better than two giant creatures? Three.
And hey, spoiler alert, you get 3 at the end of the first Godzilla versus Kong movie. Because of course, like anything else, Civil War, Batman versus Superman, at some point they have to unite and conquer a bigger threat. So,
which now turns it into from versus to times. Godzilla multiplied by Kong is
couldn't you you could put like an ampersand in there or something like
right.
Godzilla or slash or just Godzilla Kong, just Godzilla Kong. I don't need
Kongzilla.
Give me Kongzilla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
one thing we will get is Spider-Man movies on Disney Plus because most of them are there now. The only slackers are, I believe, Amazing Spider-Man 2 and the two latest Disney movies, Far From Home and No Way Home. All of the rest, the three Raimi movies. Oop, what's that?
Sorry.
Oh, yeah. So right now it is the three Raimi movies and the Amazing Spider-Man. Homecoming and Venom will drop on May 12th, and then it's assumed that other films will follow. I believe this is the first drop from the, 2-year hiatus deal that Sony has with Marvel now, or they reworked the structure of the Spider-Man movies, and this is the first dump that we've gotten.
Yeah, it was like 2 years ago that they, was it 2, or maybe it was just a year ago? I don't remember. Like that. It was a while where they announced that this was going to happen. It just took a long time.
And that was actually what I was going to wait to watch Venom.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Still haven't seen it.
Have you still not seen it? Nope. Oh, wow. Wow. Well, May 12th, that's your day, man.
Yep. I was like, I am not paying for stars. I'm just going to wait. And then, okay.
Don't you dare.
Here we are.
So yeah, then I guess there's no dates, but like you said, like Far From Home, No Way Home, Let There Be Carnage, Morbius. Like, are all these movies going to show up on Disney Plus at some point? Like, I guess you would think that they would, right?
Morbius, I got 33 minutes.
Into the Spider-Verse. What's that?
33 minutes.
You made it 33 minutes into Morbius? I watched that whole thing, dude. Whole thing.
I got sidetracked and then just never went back.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like that's how you can tell you're over something.
Yeah.
If you stop for, like, it could be completely out of your hands. It's not your fault. The phone rang.
I think I went to the bathroom or something. Like it was
exactly.
It was
yeah.
like,
you had to pause to get someone rang the doorbell. Whatever. You had to stop, and then you're like,
I'll do this thing.
I'm not going to go back to this.
Yeah.
I'm done with it. I can't imagine not being done with it. So it's over. Yeah.
I don't want to be not done with it anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, last one shot for the night. We got a trailer for Sweet Tooth Season 2. Sweet Tooth is a DC comic series written and drawn by the great Jeff Lemire. We got Season 1 like 2 years ago. During kind of the height of the pandemic, we were getting Sweet Tooth Season 1. They announced Season 2 right when it was over, and I guess it took them a long time to make it, or, COVID delays or whatever, but we're back. Season 2 is coming out, I believe, May the 4th. Some non-Star Wars content if you're looking for something to watch on May the 4th that is not Star Wars related.
Nope, that won't happen.
It's not going to happen for me. Certainly not. I know, because you and I will be at the same place.
Right.
Watching some Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I watched this trailer with my wife right before we started recording. It looks great. Definitely picks up where the first one left off. Sweet Tooth, if you don't remember or you didn't watch the first one, is about a future world in which a sickness has gripped most of the world. A lot of people have died from it. And around the same time that this sickness started, babies started being born that were like hybrid animal-human babies, like kids with deer antlers or kids with like a pig nose, or on the other opposite of things, like kids that look mostly like a beaver but also wear clothes and walk around on their hind legs. Different levels of hybridness, and it's possible that the hybrid children can possibly, maybe they are the cure for the sickness, that maybe they have something to do with each other. Who knows? Our main kid, whose nickname is Sweet Tooth, is out searching for his family with the help of a grizzled, gruff guy that he meets along the way. Not dissimilar to a show like Mandalorian or The Last of Us. But, just a kid that has animal parts and different situations. It's very good. I would say, like, the series I haven't read the entire series. I read a lot of it on the DCU Infinite app. It's very bleak and it's very dark.
Yeah.
The series kind of PG-13'd it in a way that makes it much more enjoyable. Like, it would just be harrowing and unpleasant to watch if it was a direct adaptation of the series, I think. Netflix adapts it in a way that makes it very palatable, very interesting, very fun to watch. I highly recommend Sweet Tooth Season 1. And I'm very excited about Sweet Tooth Season 2. And we'll see, like, again, because I haven't read the whole thing, so I don't know what happens at the end. I think we're pretty much where, as far as I know, and we're kind of caught up to what I've read after Season 1, pretty much. So I don't know how it's going to end. I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm excited to watch it. And
Nice.
although I will not start watching it on May the 4th, because I'll be too preoccupied with Star Wars content.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you're listening,
And I guess, sorry, you go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to segue into our normal closing. So
the
if
normal,
you've got more
the
things.
wrap up stuff. I was gonna say we're toying with the idea of on May the 4th having a special episode release where Steve and I and possibly a guest will go through we'll rank the 11 Star Wars films and not debate them, but talk about them. And we'll see kind of how our lists add up.
Yeah.
I think that'd be some good, fun Star Wars content for May the 4th.
And actually, if you're listening to this, feel free to submit to us your lists, and we'll do some sort of tallying of what the listenership's rankings are.
Oh my God, please. That is such a good idea, Steve. I love that you didn't tell me that before we started recording, but that is a great idea. And I love it. Yes. If you're hearing this, that's going to come out on May. I guess we don't know when we're going to record that episode. We're going to record it probably before May the 4th, but release it on May the 4th. I'd say you have a week. Like, get your lists. I don't know. Maybe a little over a week. But if you're listening to this now, send us either via email or through socials. Rank the Star Wars films. That's the 9 saga films and also Rogue One and Solo. That's what we're going to do, right?
Do we want to acknowledge the Clone Wars movie or no?
I can acknowledge it. I don't know that everyone has seen that one.
Also,
I've seen it. So let's just stick with live action for now.
All right.
Send us your rankings of the live action Star Wars films, and we will reference them or come up with some kind of average.
Yep.
And we'll see how in step we were with our listenership. Yes, Steve, that's a great idea.
There we go.
Great idea. Anything else that you need to talk about? Did you do anything else nerdy this week or anything?
No, not really. Very
you
boring
went to a
week.
Lego show today, as you mentioned earlier.
Oh yeah, that was
pretty nerdy.
That would fall into the nerdy category.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice Lego Expo. Had some awesome awesome displays from all of the IPs that we talk about. Yeah, it was a good time, and my son had a phenomenal time, and yeah, it was one of those where I wished that my wife was there so that while he was doing he was obsessed with the builds. Like they had a bunch of open build areas, and I was like, we can do this at the house. Like there's literally there's a pile of Legos right there.
Right.
But he was all about it. I was like, all right, let's roll with it. But I was sitting there like, I wish I had somebody else here so that I could go and look at the cool stuff that he doesn't quite care about yet.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yep.
That's funny. I saw a movie this weekend. Yeah. I went to see Evil Dead Rise.
Oh, how was it?
It was good. It was really good.
Nice.
It was great. I'll say it was great. It was a little jarring that it does not take place in a cabin in the woods like most Evil Dead movies do. This takes place in a high-rise apartment building in a city. But there was definitely enough familiarity as far as style or approach or like references to the other movies that made it definitely feel like an Evil Dead movie. And yeah, it was just gruesome and super bloody and over the top and gross and
I was gonna say, was
violent.
Was it Raimified enough for not being a Raimi film?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. It didn't it might be my least favorite Evil Dead movie.
But that's also a high bar to hit.
Yeah, but it's still great.
Yeah.
Like it's like a 3.5, 4-star movie.
Right.
For me. Like I mean, I love the Evil Dead movies, but there's not a bad one. Like I don't think there's any bad Evil Dead content. There's now
I still haven't seen Ash
the original. Well, I have, and it's great.
Nice.
So I'll tell you right there. So now we got 5 Evil Dead movies and 3 seasons of a show. They just put out a video game I haven't played, but I heard it's great. So Evil Dead, firing on all cylinders. And because I was in like a mood for Evil Dead, I looked up a couple podcasts of the people talking about Evil Dead 2, like the kind of history of them or whatever, how they came. And I started connecting some dots myself.
Okay.
And I'll say this: this is a thought that will end the podcast on this thought. Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell, and their partner Robert Tappert, I think is his name.
Yeah.
He's the producing partner. They make Evil Dead, the original The Evil Dead. They made, it was like a horror movie. Like, we know we can make this made, and we know we can make this movie to prove to other people that we can make movies, right? This is a horror movie. People make horror movies for little amount of money. And The Evil Dead is an incredible movie. You can tell it's low budget, but sometimes you can't tell it's low budget. That's like the definition of stretching like making a movie that looks more expensive than it is. Like the prime example, right? So then, like, whatever movie they make after Evil Dead, like, bombs. Like, it's like called Crime Wave is the name of it. Like, it doesn't do good at all. So they're like, okay, we need to make some money. We need to make some money for somebody. We need to show somebody that we are good filmmakers. We need to make somebody money. What can we do to make money? Let's make a sequel to Evil Dead, our cult film. Let's make Evil Dead 2. So they make Evil Dead 2, and it's like, one, an incredible film. If you've never seen it, it's amazing. But also, like, it's a moderate success at the box office, and it blows up huge on, like, video. Like, they make their money back crazily on video. And because of Evil Dead 2's cult success, makes its money back, Sam Raimi is Sam Raimi. Like, off to the races. He's getting jobs. He's making movies. He makes whatever, besides Army of Darkness, he makes Quick and the Dead, Simple Plan, like all these other, Darkman, all these other films. And eventually,
I forgot Darkman.
Because of all that, is hired to make Spider-Man in 2000 or whatever, right? And one of these podcasts mentioned that, I didn't know this, he didn't know he was chosen to direct Spider-Man until he read it in Variety. Like,
that's great.
No one told him. He's like, oh, it's me? Like, he took the meeting for Spider-Man thinking that it's like, they're interviewing me because I'm like the nerd guy. I'm the Evil Dead guy. They're interviewing me for clout with the fans to show that they did, and they're going to give it to somebody else. They gave it to him. So, Spider-Man, historically, like, yes, Blade had come out, X-Men had come out. Of course, like, we had the Batman movies, we had the Superman movies. We're into the late 90s, early 2000s. We get Blade, it's great. We get X-Men, it's great. Spider-Man is amazing. And it's like, it blows up culturally to the point where I think Spider-Man is what gives us our modern day obsession with superhero movies. Without the success of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movie, we would have kept getting, because like X-Men was good, like they were proving that they were good, but Spider-Man was like the first cultural phenomenon, right? Of
it was
like
probably,
Superman,
I would
films,
say
or
that
superhero film.
Yeah, I would say that sent it into the this could be a thing, and then Dark Knight Rises cemented it.
The Dark Knight, you mean?
Or the Dark Knight, yeah. Sorry.
Yes. The Dark Knight was like, yeah, it can also be this.
Right.
Like, yeah, it's just like fun goofiness. Well, it can also be this incredible tragedy, at the same time. So all of that history and story to say that it delights me to my core to think that without Evil Dead 2, we don't get the MCU.
Yeah.
That Evil Dead 2 is the reason that we get any of this modern day golden age heyday of superheroes that we are currently living in.
And then Sam Raimi comes back and directs
Multiverse of Madness.
Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah. So anyway, my little Evil Dead loving heart, when I put that together, I was like, it's really because of this movie that I love.
Oh,
it gives me all these other movies.
I can picture you going like full Pepe Sylvia. Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, this is going. Oh, we're connecting this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
yep. Yarn on a board, connecting newspaper clippings. Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Evil Dead Rise was really great. If you like horror and you're not squeamish,
nice.
You should go see it. It's great.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
I've heard it's Go.
It's one of those. I went with our mutual friend Dave Powinski, another Evil Dead fan, horror fan, and we both were talking about it. We're like, we're just excited to see this on opening weekend in a theater of other people that want to see this movie on opening weekend.
Right.
Like seeing like a shock, explosive Evil Dead movie, horror movie, on an opening weekend in a crowded theater is just wild. Like the audience is like reacting viscerally, and it's just so much fun. It's just so much fun. And that's what this was. It was great.
Perfect.
Yeah. But
Well,
now that is all I have to say. Do you have anything else to add to this week's episode?
no, but if you would like to hear more from Mike spinning yarns about Evil Dead and how it connects to the rest of life, feel free to give us a a subscription, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, leave us a review, comment on YouTube, and check us out on the socials, themultiverseport.com, multiverseport@gmail.com, the Multiverse Report on all the socials, and Multiverse RPT on Twitter.
I am going to start my own podcast called 6 Degrees of Evil Dead 2, and I will connect any event in your life to the existence of Evil Dead 2.
Amazing.
That's
going to be a new
Also,
recurring segment on the show.
Yeah, yes, please. Oh my God, that'd be amazing. Send us your rankings of the 11 live-action Star Wars films. I know we just came up with the idea. I'm just hammering it home right now. While you're going to iTunes, after you leave us a 5-star review, after you're sending us an email, after you're checking out multiversereport.com or following us on all those socials, send us your rankings. We'll take them in any of those formats. Email, website, comment. We'll check all our socials, before. Send us a comment, whatever, YouTube comment, any of that. Just rank them.
Some of you just text us. It's easy enough.
Yeah. Our friends just text us your 11 movie ranking, and you'll hear what we have to say about that on May the 4th.
Absolutely.
So, I guess that's it. So until next time, thanks for watching and thanks for listening, and we will see you in the multiverse.